Good morning, everyone. I'm Clara Cornart. I'm working for the Agence Française de Développement. And so welcome to this webinar, which will introduce you the challenge, the Digital Energy Challenge of the Digital Energy Facility. So we are still waiting for a few participants, but I will maybe start already with some housekeeping rules. So please mute your microphone. And could we go to the next slides, please? So please mute your microphone during the presentation. Should you have any question, please write them down during the presentation in the chat, and we will be able to come back to them at the end of the presentation. For you to know, this session is being recorded, so you will be able to see it again, watch it again on the AFD website, on the Digital Energy Challenge webpage of the AFD website. So I think we can start. Yeah, so that was the housekeeping. So what is the agenda of today's webinar? So first we will introduce to you what is the Digital Energy Challenge, what's the aim of it. Then what will this challenge bring to your contacts, should be startups and utilities, because yeah, today it's you are influencers, so the aim is that you also spread the word of this challenge. So what will it bring to your contacts? That's the second part. The third part is how can you help us communicate, and how will we help you in doing so? So yeah, we will try to provide as much information as possible to you. And of course, at the end, we've got a quite long Q&A session, 30 minutes. So again, should you have any question during the presentation, please feel free to ask them in the chat, and we will come back to that at the end of the session. And you will also have the possibility to just ask your question directly at the end of the session. So that was it. Maybe we start now with the presentation of the facility.
Hello, so I'm Cyrano. I don't know, I can't switch on my videos, just in order so moderator or persons we manage the webinar, please could you switch on my video? So I'm Cyril Renaud. Okay, no, I can't switch on my video. I'm Cyril Renaud. I'm from the Agence Française de Développement. I'm part of the team that will be presented later. Who manage the digital energy facility. So we are very happy today to present the Digital Energy Challenge that we have launched with the support and participation of the European Union. I would like to thank again for its support for this initiative. And the Digital Energy Challenge is part of a facility whose name is Digital Energy Facility. That have 4 components. The first one aims at providing support to utilities in order to make feasibility studies of digitalization projects. The second one, which is the one that we are presenting today, it's the challenge, in which we are financing innovation. Then we've got the third component that is about to be launched by the second semester of the year, which objectives will be to create a community on digital energy matters. And the fourth one is a seed financing component in which we are going to work with the fund manager in order to support more advanced business energy access business models. So the overall objective of the facility and the challenge is to find digital innovation projects and products, and the facility aims to find this innovation in order to support the integration of renewable energy, to increase energy access, and to improve the performance of power utilities and reduce technical and commercial losses. So this facility has a global scope. So, but the challenge geographical scope. But for the challenge that we are going to present, it will focus on sub-Saharan Africa this year. Perhaps it will change next year, because the challenge will be launched for 4 years. So please, could you switch to next slide? So I'm going to present the team who is involved in with managing the digital challenge. So from AFD side, we've got Anne-Sophie, and I, and Cédric Joseph Julien. Clara Cornat, we just introduced the webinar, is working at TLA, is working full-time for digital energy facility. And the challenge is being managed by a consortium of companies made of Enea and AETS. And from Enea, we've got Nicolas Bourdel, Olivier Asquet, and Angélique Maillot. From AETS, we've got Jérôme Garnac and Georges Rolla, and you've got also Victoria Marshall with our communication expert. So I will let the floor to Nicolas in order that he could present the challenge. And so thanks a lot for attending this webinar, and I hope you will be participating to it, or you will promoting it. Thanks. Bye. Nicolas.
Thank you, Cyril. So I'm Nicolas from Enea Consulting. We're supervising the launch and following on this digital energy challenge. So first, what is the digital energy challenge? So it's as Cyril explained, a major component of the digital energy facility, which is led by the AFD with the support of the European Union. The main objectives of this challenge is to promote digital innovations that increase energy access and improve the utilities performance and quality of service. So that are the two main objectives. And in order to achieve these objectives, we will launch one core for projects per year over the next 4 years. So from 2021, this year, to 2024. And the funding of this challenge is 6 million euros for the 4 years. So it's 1.5 million euro per year of pure grant, which will be split between the startup challenge. It's 0.5 million euros per year, which will support 5 to 8 startups every year, and the utility challenge, which will grant 1 million euro per year to 2 to 3 utilities every year. As as Cyril explained just earlier, for this year, the 2021 challenge will be focused on sub-Saharan Africa. And this might change, and the scope, the geographical scope may move for the next year. So that's in a nutshell what is the Digital Energy Challenge, and we may go to the next slide. So this is the timeline, the expected timeline of the first year of the challenge. So the call for projects is open currently. It has been launched on the 6th of April this year. So the page, the application page and submission pages are open, and so any potential candidate can go to these pages and apply, basically. So this call for projects period will last until the end of June. The deadline for submitting the applications for these challenges is the last day of June. Meanwhile, we, INEA Consulting, the AFD, as well as AETS, will analyze the application. There will be a pre-selection committee, and finally, in early September, a selection committee where the AFD and its partners will select the laureates for this 2021 Digital Energy Challenge. The award ceremony will then be conducted in end of September, early October 2021. And last of all, there will be a bootcamp session in November 2021 for the laureates and for other and also for the other participant applicants. So this bootcamp will be a very important and interesting time for the laureates to share knowledge and expertise, and also it will be a time when we'll fine-tune the technical assistance that the laureate will benefit from as part of the challenge. So that is for the timeline of the challenge for 2021. If we move to the startup challenge, the challenge for startup, and if we focus on the eligibility criteria, there are eligibility criteria for the organization itself, and eligibility criteria for the project. The organization which apply should be a startup of less than 10 years of existence and which is already set up and has at least one full-time employee. It has to be local and its turnover should be less than €1 million in annual turnover. And also we seek to target pre-seed or early stage startups, and that's why we set up a criteria, which is that the startup must have raised less than €1 million in capital. So that are the criteria for the startups, and actually the NGOs are eligible if and only if the activity that is going to apply for, I mean is a for-profit or at least a sustainable an activity which seeks sustainability, which has its own business plan and its own team. So that's very important, and that are the criteria, the additional criteria for the NGOs to be able to apply to the startup challenge. That being said, the organization have to apply by submitting a project, and this project shall fall into at least one of the three themes for the 2021 Startup Challenge. These three themes are the following: services to the grid, innovative clean energy solutions, equipment and appliances for SMEs, and implementation of new or innovative digital solutions for energy access businesses. So you have more description about these three themes on the documentations in the application page of the AFD website. I just wanted to note before leaving the floor to Olivier, who will present the next slide. I just wanted to note for you that the implementation of digital solutions for energy access businesses covers quite a wide range of scope. If you are, or if you know, an energy access startup which wants to implement an innovative CRM, for example, to follow up the pay-go consumptions of its clients, or any software, any energy access software which will increase its operational efficiency, this startup is eligible for the challenge. So it's actually aiming at accelerating, at boosting the digital transformation of energy access startups. That is for the digital energy challenge for startups. And now let us move with Olivier to the digital energy challenge for utilities.
Nicolas and Olivier, there are already 3 questions. Should we try to answer to them? Even 4? Should we answer them now, or?
Clara, is it are these questions questions to better understand what we've said, or are these questions that we can answer at the end of the presentation?
It's more about eligibility. There is just one question from Stéphane, is Stéphane Redon. Can you please clarify the role and scope of works of INEA and AETS? Maybe that you can answer already, and the rest we will see later.
Sure. So the challenge is an initiative of the AFD, co-financed by the EU, and the AFD has mandated INEA, a consortium led by INEA and with the AETS as a partner, actually, to set up and manage the digital energy challenge. So we are under the supervision and in close collaboration with the AFD, and we have set up the rules, and we're animating the call for projects, and we will follow up with the candidates until the end of the challenge. So that is our role. We're actually managing the challenge, and INEA is more focused on the overall coordination of the challenge and the digital energy challenge for startups, as we have quite a deep expertise in energy access and African startups in the field of energy, whereas AETS is more focused on the digital energy challenge for the utilities. So that is our role as a consortium and our role as consortium members. So Clara, maybe the other questions, if it's not questions for understanding better what I've said, we can answer.
Yeah, and I guess you will also answer some of these questions in the next slides. So yeah, better to take them.
Great.
Perfect. So thank you, Nicolas. I will take the lead on the next slide. So I'm Olivier. I also work for INEA. And so let me just check here. Now let's talk about the Digital Energy Challenge for utilities. And so the idea here is that utilities, meaning public electrical operators of the grid and other organizations, public organizations, involved in power distribution, power transportation, in electrification, must apply in partnership with innovative technology service providers. So technology or service providers. So here you have a list of the eligible utilities, the type of utilities that's quite broad, that can apply to the challenge, and the criteria that were set for the technology or service providers to apply. So for these ones, they can be startups, they can be small enterprises, they can be companies that are perhaps more advanced than startups. The criteria is that they need to be formally registered, not necessarily locally. They need to have more than 5 employees, to record less than 50 million euros of annual turnover, and have less than 15 years of existence. So the project that is submitted by utilities in partnership with these innovative technology or solution providers, of course, must be digital, must be innovative, and must respond to one of the following themes. So the themes that were selected for the utility challenge are the following. One that is the universal energy access. So you can see that it's a bit a mirror of also the first theme of the startup challenge, meaning that the idea with these two categories is that synergies can be created between the two categories of the challenge. So while the first theme for startups is looking into grid management solutions, the one for the utilities is looking at universal energy access, and is more looking to off-grid but also on-grid solutions for an increased and enhanced energy access. So the second theme is the improvement of grid management and quality of service. So you will find under this theme solutions, tools that help reduce technical losses, power supply that help enhance power supply continuity, and the quality of service management and improve the management of flexibility of the grid. And then the last theme for the utility challenge is all solutions that enable better penetration, a higher penetration of renewable energies into the power grid. So these are all the tools that help manage the production sites, connect and disconnect the capacities, all these digital tools that are linked to the new energies, with that being wind, biomass, hydropower, solar, all renewable energies. So I'll move to the, perhaps we can, I see we have more questions, so I can answer questions linked to these criteria. So Clara, you can also tell me if you feel that way, but I see that Stefan asked.
Why less than 15 years experiences for technology supplier as not part of startup challenge?
The idea is that we feel like 15 years is already quite a lot to have a solution that is well developed and ready for the market. And at the same time, we want to be focusing on innovative actors of the sector, and that's why we set a threshold on the existence.
I think if the innovation you want to implement is very innovative and has been developed recently, we can discuss this. Please send us an email and we will check out.
Sure, it's not. We can also have a look at the project itself and distinguish it from the company and when the company was set up, and have a look at the project itself.
There is also a question from Olan Rewaju-Busargi. Could the implementation of new innovative digital solutions for energy access businesses include financing solutions for energy access companies? It is a typical problem in sub-Saharan Africa. I don't know if you see it.
So, yes, the answer is yes, as long as it is innovative and as it implies or it's based on a digital solution. So yes, financial service is key, but it has there must be a digital component in your project somehow.
Okay. There is a question, private utilities are excluded, or isolated grids, are they excluded? From Philippe Bouygues.
Yes, so private utilities are not eligible for a challenge, as it seeks to reward projects that are piloted by public utilities in partnership with private actors, private technology or service providers. So the idea is that private, for instance, private mini grid operators can apply, but as a technology provider in collaboration with a utility, a public utility.
And there's a question also from Sirian Veltrami. For the startup challenge, can we present a consortium with an eligible leader, but not the other members of the consortium? Not sure I really understand this question, but Olivier, maybe you do.
Yes, I guess the idea is to have a collaborative project, but in this case, I don't really understand what is the startup bringing. What is the other partner which is not eligible bringing to the project? For the startup challenge, the idea is really to reward one entity and not a consortium. Then also we can have some flexibility and look into the project. If you submit your application or contact us by email, we can discuss and see how your project could fit in the eligibility criteria.
There's also a question from Cyril Carabo. Could capacity building programs be eligible to the challenge in the framework of the utilities part? I can answer maybe, because it's actually not the component 2, it's not the challenge, which is dealing with the capacity building programs for utilities. It's component 1 of the facility. And if you have questions about that, better to write an email to def@afd.fr. Sorry, I can put it in the chat. If you have global questions about the facility, it's better to write to this email address. I think it's, and there was a question also from Axel Beauregard. If we are a non-profit NGO, can we respond to this call for project in partnership with the startup or with utilities? It's in the chat directly, not in the question.
Yes, okay. Yeah, the idea for NGOs, I think Nicolas mentioned it, is that they need to be entities that are looking for sustainability in the future and financial independence. And so they can be some spin-off of NGOs, for instance, locally implemented programs that typically become independent and registered as a company in the future. So NGOs programs from NGOs are only eligible under this condition, and not the NGO itself if it's a non-profit organization.
Yes, exactly. To be even more precise, so the NGO project is eligible if it has if it seeks sustainability, financial sustainability in the mid to long term, if it has its own team and its own business plan. So these are the conditions for the NGO's project to be eligible to the Digital Energy Challenge for startups. That's the answer.
Okay,
Should
I think
we
it's
move?
all, yeah, maybe we should just move on. And yeah.
Okay. So, yes. We discussed eligibility criteria for the entity, for the project, meaning the sectoral scope to apply in, and these are high-level criteria that will be used to select and prioritize projects between them. So we mentioned already that, of course, the project must be digital and local and innovative, and what will be assessed is typically, so these first prerequisites, let's say, but also the impacts of the project on the local population, social, economic impacts, and the economics and risks attached to the project. So the viability of the project, the soundness of the business model, the expertise of the project team, if mitigation, risk mitigation systems and procedures are in place. These are typically the criteria for the selection, and there will be a framework, a grade, let's say a scoring scale to differentiate the projects and give a transparent feedback to all applicants to inform them of their first the pre-selection process, and if they were invited to the selection committee, the final selection committee, or if we invite them to perhaps apply again the following year. So perhaps I'll move, and then we'll take the coming questions later on. Sorry.
Maybe I will present this one. Sure. So what will this challenge bring to your contacts? So you are here, most of you are here as influencers, are not as candidates, but more you have been invited to this webinar for influencers because you may know some utilities, some startups who could be interested. So when communicating with them about the challenge, you can put forward the following benefits for them. So the first benefits for the awardees, for the laureates, will be, of course, the pure grant, which will be granted to each of the laureates. So it's up to 70,000 euros for the startups, and there will be, as said earlier, 5 to 8 startups every year who will be laureates. So over the 4 years, it will be quite a big number of startups awarded, and the grant will be from 100,000 euros to 700,000 euros for the utilities, which will be laureates every year. So that's the first and main benefit, but there will be also other benefits for the laureates. So the first additional benefit is technical assistance for the project implementation. So the details of the technical assistance will be discussed and validated between us, the AFD and the consortium, and the laureate, and will take place for a duration of maximum 18 months. So that's the first, and this will be taken in charge by the AFD on the top of the grant. A second second benefit will be the bootcamp we've already mentioned, which will take place in the end of the year, and will gather the laureate experts for a time of to create synergies and expertise sharing, etc. And finally, the visibility will be the third core benefits for the laureates, as they will be put forward in the AFD communication, in the media, etc., etc. However, also, yes, the candidates, the applicants, sorry, which will not be selected as laureate, will somehow benefit also from it. First, with feedbacks from the AFD team on their projects. So we'll provide feedbacks, and also they will be invited to participate in some of the bootcamps activities, such as trainings or workshops, etc. Either through a digital participation, an online participation, or physically. However, it will not be taken in charge if there are not laureates, but they will be invited. So that are the benefits for the laureates and also for the applicants. So again, what we've tried to do by designing this challenge is to optimize the process, the application process, through detailed guidelines in order for the applicants to be really guided for the application. There are guidelines. There is a Q&A page on the website, which will be regularly updated. So basically, the application consists in filling an Excel sheet and gather few documents, such as a business plan for the utilities, and submit them on the page. So it's very straightforward. And all the documents are gathered into an application pack that can be downloaded. And you have in a zip file all the interesting informations for you to apply. So that's very straightforward. In terms of reporting, after the grant, the grant has been disbursed, they have the reporting. The reports are sufficient but minimal in order to optimize to minimize the constraints for the laureate, and also to be in the yes, for the AFD to have a sufficient amount of information. So there will be biannual reportings. The reporting template will be provided, and the grant agreement is already available. So all of these can be checked out before applying or after applying. It's very transparent and easy to access this information. Finally, there will be, as mentioned, a close follow-up for the laureates. There will be regular contacts with them from the AFD's part and the consortium's part during the time of the projects, which will be which have to last maximum 18 months. And the funding will be disbursed in different installments to follow the cash needs of the project. So all of this will be discussed with the laureate, and very simple and easy to follow. So that are the main benefits that you can yes, market to your contacts. And I leave the floor again to Olivier for this part, last part. How can you help us communicate about the challenge?
Yes, thank you. And we would like to take this occasion to ask your support to promote the challenge. You know, this is a first initiative of its kind in the sector, and it's really tackling at the same time startups and utilities. So the spectrum of actors is really wide, and the idea is that we try and capitalize on the different networks to make sure that this challenge has the most profitable impacts possible in the industry. So it's the inauguration year. It will last for 4 years, but it's we feel like it's very important to, if I can say, make as much noise as possible right now. Now that the call for projects are open. So please don't hesitate to mention this challenge and spread the word to your ecosystem, that being startups or utilities or you know, the technology and service providers that we mentioned. Perhaps some of them can fit into the challenges targets. So if you want, we can provide you with useful resources. So that being the challenge webpage, of course, you have access to it, but we can again give in the chat the different URL pages for the two different categories of the challenge. Of course, you may have seen some communication from AFD and from the organization, that being AETS, from ENIA, about the challenge. So please don't hesitate to post on LinkedIn and to relay these messages. So we can also provide you with a detailed brochure of the challenge for you to directly forward to your contacts if they want to have a better and a clearer idea of the detailed themes and eligibility criteria. This is all compiled in this document. And yes, I already mentioned LinkedIn, but the challenge itself is present on other social media pages such as Twitter, or Facebook. So you can also use these medium to communicate to your contacts. And yeah, we thank you in advance, of course, for your support. So I think we can try and answer the remaining questions, the ones that are still open and that we didn't treat in the first slide. So of course, also a reminder, we can respond to these questions offline, and please don't hesitate to write at contact@afddigitalenergychallenge.com to have a dedicated answer. And also all the questions that will be asked today in the framework of the 5 webinars will be used to update the FAQ, the Q&A page on the challenge website. So Clara, I don't know if there are some questions.
Yeah, sure. So there are questions first about the definition of what local is. So Stéphane Redon asked, what does local mean? Does it mean registered in an African country? And also there was another question, by local, do you mean to sub-Saharan Africa or to a particular country like Nigeria?
Yes, so local means that for the startup challenge, the entity must be locally registered. So to the the registry of companies and trade of the country, and have one permanent office and one full-time employee working in the country. Local in the end means that you have your project management team installed in the country, and that they are piloting the project from this country, and this country must be based in in sub-Saharan Africa, and the detailed list, but it's an exhaustive list of the countries in sub-Saharan Africa is given on the challenge website.
Okay.
Also precision on the for the utilities challenge. So for the technology and service providers, they don't necessarily have to be locally implanted, but of course it's better if they have already teams and projects in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay, there was also a question about technical assistance for the laureates. Is it technical assistance done by INEA or AATS only? What is the and does the project include some technical assistance? No. Can also the technical assistance be done by local or international experts?
So for technical assistance, INEA and AATS won't be part of the technical assistance providers, because we are designers and organizers of the challenge. So what will be done is that the laureates will be invited to pick one to propose, let's say, a list of technical assistance providers, and then the final choice will be made in consultation with AFD. And these can be international technical assistance providers. They can be local consultants. There is no restriction on that. And for your information, the scope can be also quite wide. It could be just a general 360 diagnosis of the entity needs or the project needs. Could be assistance in reporting, strategic or market insights, consultancy. So it's the scope is quite wide, and it will be defined with the project owners and with the challenge organization to make sure that the technical assistance that is optional for the digital energy challenge for utilities is really bringing added value to the project.
There is also a question about a pilot project. Can the amount granted finance a pilot project? And if yes, what is the maximum % possible for the pilot compared to the amount granted?
For this one,
it's in the chat. If
Nicolas, you can complete me if I'm wrong. But for the pilots, so the pilots are eligible to the challenge. The idea being that we just don't want to be rewarding projects that are really at the blueprint stage or proof of concept, but that already have one foot in the ground. And so the time horizon that was decided was to have one project ready within 12 months. So the pilot must be running and operational within a 12-month horizon. And then the second part was, yes, the envelope, the allocation will be, I think it won't be separated from the pilot, since the pilot will act as the project itself.
I think, Olivier, the second part of the question was about co-financing. And so the answer is the grant can cover the 100% or part of the project budget for the startups, and there is no limitation on the overall project budget for the startups. And it's different for the utilities. For the utilities, as the amount of grant is way higher, it's up to 700,000 euros. The project itself cannot be more than €1 million. So the AFD intends to finance at least 70% of the overall project budget. So this is the only restriction for the utility project, for the utility challenge.
There is also a question from Ukaya Property Group. Is it 5 to 8 awardee per country or otherwise? Well,
no, it's for the whole challenge.
Yeah.
For Sub-Saharan Africa every year.
There's a question from James and Kosi. Rural communities are far from accessing energy, and even more so with digital technology. So what are the experiences of the presenters with regard to rural outreach with such initiatives?
So it could take a day or two to answer this question. But we think digital technologies can help rural electrification. Just to take one example, so digital can be the sense of digital is not only computer based, it can be also telco based technology. So if you take, for example, the pay as you go systems, these are considered digitally based technologies that help rural electrification. So these kind of innovations or of technologies illustrates, highlights the fact that the digital technologies can be helpful to the universal energy access.
There is also an eligibility question as by given, I don't see the name, family name, but it's as an individual who works for a utility. I have developed a digital solution to enhance system operation efficiency. Can I apply as an individual?
So the answer is no. You have to either set up your startup company and apply to the startup challenge, or yeah, that's the best way to go. Or partner with with the utility, but you cannot as an individual. It's not eligible.
And there's a question from Claire Lester regarding eligible costs. Are subcontracting costs for technical development of digital service of an existing and already commercialized product eligible? It's in the Q&R, not in the chat, if you want to see it.
There is I think we can answer that later. I don't have an answer. I think it will really depend on what you are subcontracting, basically. So please send us an email to detail the question. I think it will be easier to answer.
Okay, I think that's all for now. Oh, there was a question from Joseph Chikonde. Utility challenge requires partnership with innovative technology providers as key eligibility criteria. Kindly advise how the utilities will identify and or select potential partners. Well, I'm not sure we can advise, but
I think there are two ways, but I'll let the other panelists complete. The first way is if you have already in the pipelines a project, or if you have already identified a technology you would like to implement somehow in your activity, then you have already identified a partner. And that is the first case. And we think this will be the more common case that we will come across. The second case is you have an idea of project, but you don't have a partner. So either you can search for a partner on your own side, make a small market study and identify potential partners who could bring you a technology or an innovative service that you would need for implementing your project. Or you can, of course, you can ask, so I guess you were a utility, you can ask the consortium, you can ask the AFD, because we might have some questions from technology providers who would want to find a utility. So we can do the go-between. So please send us again an email to explain us your needs, and we'll put you in contact if we have if we have such requests from potential techno or service provider.
We've got two new questions about eligibility of some projects. Digital solutions for public lighting using solar and remote control smart lighting, are they eligible? By Stefan in the chat.
Yes.
Good, that's quick.
And, yes, depending who's depending on who's implementing it, is it a utility who's implementing it, is it a startup, or etc. etc. You have to check the themes and find out the right one to apply to. But it's eligible.
And a question by James and Cozy, would this initiative also consider hardware, such as solar computers, as part of digital innovation in providing solar solutions to SMEs? It's in the Q&R.
Yes.
The answer is yes. So hardware is a component of a digital solution, which is eligible. Yes, which is eligible. Yes.
I don't know if there are more questions. For now, we've answered everything in the chat and in the Q&R section. Just maybe can you go to the next slide, Olivier, just to remind people the email addresses?
Sure.
Thanks. So basically, if you have any questions relating to the challenge in particular, please write to this email address. So contact@afddigitalenergychallenge.com. Should you have questions related to the facility, so in general, not the challenge, please write to def@afd.fr. So if it's for the challenge, please contact at afddigitalenergychallenge.com. And we put in the chat, Nicolas put in the chat the URL to access the application page for the Digital Energy Challenge for startups and for utilities.
Yes, and don't forget to regularly visit the challenge pages and also the social media pages of the challenge for more information and updates on the call for projects and then the continuation of the challenge.
So I don't know if you have more questions, please ask them in the chat. Otherwise, I think we can maybe close the webinar. Maybe we wait 2 more minutes in order for you to write down your questions. There's just a question from James and Cozy. Will the presentation be made available? Yes, it will be made available on the AFD.fr website on the webpage dedicated to the challenge. We will put it in the chat.
Yes, you will have access together with the video recording of this webinar session. This will be downloadable directly on the, there is a webinar dedicated web page associated to the challenge web page. So this is where you will find the presentation and the video.
Okay, I just put in the chat the webpage in English for the challenge, and then I guess we can close the meeting. So thank you very much. Yeah, do not hesitate to go to the AFD.fr webpage, to the challenge webpage. And should you have any question, please write an email to contact@afddigitalenergychallenge.com. It's on the screen right now. So thank you very much and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicolas and Olivier.
Okay,
bye.
goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.